Okay, I cannot tell you how long it took me at the last minute just to find one functionable song for the lead in. All I wanted was heavy metal with Gregorian chanting, and I didn't want to just pick like Rotting Christ again because I've been listening to that so goddamn much that I'm like, give it a break, Steve. All right. Hey, Aquarian Light, I haven't seen you in forever. And you know what? Because you are here, where we go? There you are. You're now wrenching. Welcome to the Wrench Club. Hey, good stuff. All right, Abramelin the Mage tonight. At some point, by the way, maybe in the next drive stream or whatever, eventually I'm gonna be speaking my mind about Holland, not the country, the soccer player. Oh, I am quite enjoying his aura in my country. He's welcome here anytime, and he can come to my blot. Anyway, and Howard is here, of course. So hopefully we're gonna have a good time doing this. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash. As you know, I am not in a good budget place to do a new computer. And so I'm running on highly limited memory as per what all the updates have done. And I'm not the kind of guy who knows how to deal with the headache of rolling back operating system updates to a manageable level, because I also don't want to have to deal with the compensation of non-up-to-date web-based stuff like YouTube and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I haven't looked into it. My brain doesn't like it. I've got too much real-world shit that terrifies me that I'd rather do, like making sure I'm focused on, having my 7 to 3:30 day in the construction business. Eh? All right. So, and hopefully in the future, without so much darn nonsense. Am I just out of focus for no reason? Why does this look like I'm out of focus on YouTube? Am I in focus here? I'm in focus here, right? Why do I look out of focus on YouTube? No, I look okay now. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. I fixed it. Magic touch or something. Let's see. Does that open it up? No, I have to open up. Here we go. Let me see if I can adjust this. I'm just gonna read it straight off the Internet Archive. I was having problem finding the damn PDF file. That's how fucking ridiculous this process has been for me. Okay, pull that down a bit and up a bit. Move that over. Oh, and by the way, if you don't know that song that I did play tonight, that was Amino by Era, but it was somebody who did a metal cover of it. I don't know the name of the band who did it, and I don't think it was AI. Probably not. That was 2019. I can't remember if AI was functional in 2019, and that's when this video was uploaded. So I think it was probably the product of like a one-shot producer guy using all sorts of like digital equipment and things like that. It's all right. It was cool. I was hoping to go for something way more insane. but I couldn't find the titles that were given to me, and I'm wondering if it's because AI is retarded. Because I just wanted AI to give me a list, because I don't know if there's even a band outside of Batushka, who I didn't want to fucking like figure out which song from Batushka I wanted to fucking sit through and remember had the good Gregorian chanting in it for enough of it to justify the song, because I wanted to be like the chorus of the song, so it was heard a lot, not just like a breakdown or the intro or the outro. Anyway. Chapter 5. Other Masters I Have Found. Now, this has been very interesting reading this this far, right? Now, thus far, it's been telling us kind of a biographical story. We're 56 pages into the PDF, which, that involves pictures of, like, the table of contents, the forewords, and all that stuff, right? So, there's not, this isn't a big book. So let's see, let's see. Hopefully there'll be plenty of chapters that get into some juicy stuff about how you want to fucking draw a sigil this way, play with an alchemical component that way, work things out on these kinds of transits, and give you some fun stuff to play with here. All right? Anyway, it is not enough that one wanders over many lands like a dog in a kitchen. It is necessary to understand more afterwards than before. Everyone should be able to describe properly what he has seen and learned. A clear description of what has been seen gives listeners the opportunity to judge whether a traveler's boasts are true. To talk about boasting true, right? That's braggy, right? And one of the things that was running through my mind, watching a couple of videos, with the soccer dude who, he, what it looks like? He looks like a lean, built Brock Lesnar in his prime. That's what the fuck he looks like. A lean version of 20-something-year-old Brock Lesnar. I think he's in his 20s. This guy's like, he's practically a kid. But, he eats a ridiculously balanced fucking diet. And of course, he's getting a fucking Norwegian diet, which has way more availability of nutrient, delicious food at reasonable cost. It's, oh my gosh. Anyway, he is, he's kind of, he's something. Anyway, that'll be for another show. It is not enough that one, anyway, Brag. The god Brag is who I would evoke out of this. So, as to give you examples in this chapter, I will tell you about people who call themselves masters of the art, and I will tell you about how they manage their art. In the 6th chapter, I intend to explain to you what I have seen and learned, and I will also tell you whether, on reflection, I found their doings true or not. See, things take me a great long time because I have the gift and the curse of my moon in the Mula Nakshatra, sitting in galactic center, so my empty head in the 3rd house, thoughts beyond words. It's redonkulous. It's made me the eccentric madman that I am. You're welcome. The very first master I visited was Rabbi Moses from Mainz, Religious, but incompetent in holy secret and magic knowledge. He was superstitious with his art, patched together from a collection of atheist and agnostic systems. Because of this, he received no response or help from the holy angels and good spirits. The unredeemed spirits joked with him, sometimes for their own pleasure. They helped him with childish things, and so were better able to trick and hinder him. He did not continue searching for the right basis or correct system. In Strasbourg, I met Jacob, a Christian, regarded as a marvelous master. But it was all tricks and cheating. In the correct art, he could do less than nothing. I also, I like this sentence because he's talking about how he was a Christian, but effectively he was a charlatan, right? He's a bad person, right? But he was a Christian, because he was looking for somebody within the Christian practice, right? So, people frown upon that stuff, and either your religious community is the forgiveness principle is about like, well, okay, he's struggling, we condemn the behavior, but we forgive him. He still comes over for dinner, and in fact we try to help him be less of a charlatan, right? And then there's the Christians who may look at it and say, no, this is condemned, he's gonna be excommunicated, or or whatever, right? And then there's really, really brutal protocols to getting back in. Anyway. In Bohemian Prague, I found 25-year-old Anthony, a focused young man who showed me exceptional supernatural things. But God protect me, you, and everyone that anyone should sink so low. The fool told me that he had sold his body and soul to the devil. Oh, God, it's always the fucking selling to the devil. Totally rejecting the highest creator and all his associated beings. In return, the devil Leviathan promised Anthony that for 40 years he would do whatever he requested. He quickly tried to persuade me to become trapped into the same situation. I moved from him and finally fled from him and his arts. His pitiful end 2 years later is known to every child. A song about it is still sung in the streets. Oh, forbid, my faithful God, let this be an example and a warning to you. Flee far from such young fools. I like the way this is written, really fun. Yeah, his pitiful end 2 years later, right? That's pretty harsh, right? Like, like Anton LaVey lived a good long time. He didn't become a Satanist and then died 2 years later. I suppose Colonel Aquino, he's like, I wouldn't call him pagan. Pagan maybe is maybe something like as a Seti. Oh, well, Set's a god, right? Temple of Set or whatever, he died only a few years ago. Old as fuck. Right? You tell me. In Austria, I found many people, but all were bad or crazy. Some were caught in the same pitiful situation as the Bohemian I have just told you about. But it is not worth the trouble to write about simple, unskilled, and crazy people. Right, so he met a guy that was like high society doing low magic, or perhaps a profane form of high magic. Right? And then if we're talking about the unskilled, the crazy, like he's probably like meeting people that are like tagging fucking graffiti on the walls of like ancient Roman buildings or something, right? You know, they're probably grabbing dirty chickens off the fucking side of the fucking road and slaughtering it in a back fucking alley, and they don't even clean and prepare their place, right? So, you know, he's seeing all sorts of scag of society in Austria, right? I would love Thomas Sheridan's opinion on this book. In Greece, I found fire, skilled elders who were mostly unbelievers. 3 were special, all lived in the wilderness, and they showed me exceptional things. In fact, I think I forgot to share this stream on the Thomas Sheridan Telegram group, where he'll be sure to notice it. Hold on. I must do this thing. Uno momento, por favor. Kaboom. Bang. There it is. Now it is noticed. Okay. Right, let's get back to my pagan interpretation of these things. In Greece, I found fine, skilled elders who were mostly unbelievers. 3 were special, all lived in the wilderness, and they showed me exceptional things. They made unexpected thunderstorms, snow, hail, ooh, weather weavers, I love it. Sunshine at night in the afternoon. They made running water stand still. For all their work, they sang special songs and rhymes in their own language. They used these together with gestures and ceremonies. In the wilderness, that's amazing. Cool. That's cool. That's fucking cool. All right, so he found some OG Greco-pagans, and, like, they let him fucking, like, catch their magic, right? So if Abramelin's, like, running around being like, dude, I love magic. I'm only here for one reason. Like, let's party and see what magic looks like. I want to see your magic, man. I want to learn, right? Like, that's fun, isn't it? That's I think it's like fucking Aleister Crowley did that, right? You know, he made his own decision. The whole point of Aleister Crowley, I think Thelemites understand this, is that he made his own fucking damn decisions. That's a very important precept here, right? And his flaws are there for the world to be judged, including any of his associations with the elites. He would have at least had those elite associations for the fucking sake of causing that much chaos. And, you know, the myth is interpreted differently when you're kind of looking at mortals playing the game. There is room within systems, right? Because sometimes, you know, one man's Loki is another man's Odin or Thor, and that's an important aspect of the myths. You know, and this is the aspect of human character, as opposed to the aspect of the cosmic mystery happening that is part of the real war, which has changed a lot. You know, the atmosphere is different. It is a different world since the pandemic, and it's a even further different world now that we're, you know, various things are sealed, timelines are you know, as a seeker, you'll notice it. You will notice it. Right. The seeker has to understand that there's a new game in town when it comes to your relationship with the profane, right? And the more you make peace with it, and most importantly, to remember to enjoy your fucking life, no matter how much you're worried about anybody fucking taking over and doing things. You know, you're aware enough of it to not get caught up in it, and it can be happening all around you, but as long as you're not so foolish as to be around violence and things like that, because there's your there's bad behavior, and then there's also just bad life choices, right? And those two things combined, if you can fix a couple of things, right? You know, I fixed my behavior. I'm still working on my life choices. Okay. Anyway. So anyway, awesome with his cool fucking run in Greece. For all their work, they sang special. Right, okay. In Hungary, I found people who served neither God nor devil and were worse than the beasts of the field. I'm assuming that means he found no magic in them and he's just making note of it. Yeah, sure. Oof. What years were this again? in Epiphos, close to Constantinople, lived a person who, instead of song, wrote special formulas on the ground. With these, he made incredibly unusual visions and discoveries, but all of them were useless. They appeared for the wrong reasons and worked slowly, and when things did not succeed, he had 1,000 excuses. Right, meaning it was just nothing to work with, and that was the closest thing to anything he found in Epiphus. In Constantinople, I found two of our house, Simon Moses and Rabbi Abraham. Both had learned the same magic as Rabbi Moses from Mainz, but Abraham knew more about the Kabbalah. Both apologized for not having searched further into the magic. In Egypt the first time, I found 5 men honored as clever men. Of these 3, Hore, Al-Quran, and Selik, worked through astrology from books, satanic oaths, monotonous, long, godless prayers, and powerful ceremonies. The other 2, Helimius and Abimelech, honored the devil, to whom they offer licenses and figures that they made to talk and move. Oh, interesting. Were they developing automatons? Or were these animated, like, legitimately animated? That's fucking crazy. That's I'd say he met some bad guys. I'd say, I would imagine if he's saying satanic oaths in Egypt, he must be saying Setian, because he's mentioned the devil, he's mentioned Satan, he's mentioned other kinds of things. So anyway, similarly in Arabia, they did magic by taking into account the times and configurations of the heavens. Where the Egyptians used pictures and similar things, the Arabians used herbs and precious and ordinary stones. These and other similar people I found in the Arabian wilderness, they called themselves masters of magic, but they were hopeless. Most could do little or nothing. Interesting. And I'm surprised he goes to Arabia and he doesn't find anybody messing with the jinn. He didn't find one jinn conjurer. Not one. That's wild to me. And none of these herbs and stones were of note. Just ordinary stones. Like, not even like special kind of like pseudo-crystal-y nothing. Anyway, finally, guided by the mercy of God through the holy angel, I was led to Abramelin. He was the first and only person who showed me the source of all the holy secrets and the true old magic, as it was used by our forefathers. He unlocked and opened these for me and showed me how to use them. Later in Paris, I found and learned Master Joseph, who had turned from our belief and holy law to become a Christian. He was like Abramelin in his magic, but not in its entirety, because the righteous God never gives the right and true treasure to those who deny him. Otherwise, he is the friendliest upon whosoever the sun may shine. Right? Like, this gets into the relationship with God that actually is the relationship you do have with the true Udanma, with the true all, right? With the Brahmin, right? This is, this is what in essence is it. It didn't make a fuss about his rights, his bloodline, his whatever. It's how are you doing sitting in your soul as a goddamn fucking person having the life that I make the conditions for you to enjoy. And by that, like, carbon-based life forms. Right? The whole fucking thing, right? Like, how you enjoying the whole fucking thing? Ah, God, great. Here's some magic, right? That's the idea. Anyway, in Italy and later in Germany, I found and recognized several masters, especially Master Albrecht. I recognized them from their person and from their writings, but all their doings had neither hand nor feet, and they were like Rabbi Moses from Mainz in their doings. Some were even worse. There is no sense in even talking about those who hope, with false stories and lies from books, to try to understand and become wise. They become crazy, lose their humanity, and become donkeys. I shall tell you about this later. Donkeys, right? And, set, like, Pinocchio and Pleasure Island, right? He is finding chaos magicians. He's finding a lot of fucking chaos magicians before there's an organized chaos. Like, this is chaos. This is, like, chaos in the chaos, right? As opposed to chaos brought into at least a little bit of order, right? Crowley certainly was, he was keeping it left-hand path, but he learned enough from the right-hand path to get some fucking coherency out of the process of it, right? And just did it in, like, the wildest of ways frickin' possible. And he was trying to uplift the lowest people by doing this. He wanted like ugly, wrecked human beings, ugly, wrecked, and poor, but with a spark for seeking personal power. And this is the company he liked to keep. Promising wrecks. And some of them ended up being sympathetic humans. I consider the deaths that happened around Crowley as sympathetic sacrifices. Because they were committed to doing the thing, and they liked doing it with Crowley. And on top of the fact that I'm sure they, it's also because they wanted to learn from him so much, and just like they would just be a part of his dangerous endeavors. And, they, it was what their will was to do, right? They didn't care if they, the ones that died in that mountain probably were fucking happy. They may have been scared or whatever when they died, but like, they died trying, and they have the gratitude of everything that the practice with Crowley brought. Like, that's if he didn't fucking kill him, right? And that it's true that they all just fucking died because everybody was fucking tagging along, and it was kind of like everybody under their own liabilities or whatever, right? You know, it's their business. They all wanted to fucking be there unless he fucking drugged and hypnotized them to fucking climb a mountain with them, or what other of the fucking 15 other fucking things he did throughout his life and wrote about. Okay. Okay, this is a good spot to take a break. And, you know, now that I've gotten this song that I was looking for, barely looking for, out of the way, I'm asking myself, what the hell do I want to do now? Because I didn't necessarily want to just keep up with the same thing. So I just wanted to do the intro specifically with the Gregorian chants to get that out of my my system. See, that's a 16-minute thing. I don't know if that's one song or fucking 3 songs. Let me see if I can find just anything off the fucking front of my home screen. Come on, algorithm. Just throw some nonsense at me. All right, well, we're going to pick a track from this ridiculous thing. My assumption, because the band is called Frog Mallet, is that the vocals are going to sound something like... I can't do the fucking frog growling. But basically, it's a kind of guttural that sounds like a toad or a frog, just constantly like making aggressive throat noises. So let me see here. So this I kind of assume will be fun. Eat bug, snack time, boiled in a pot. This is going to be a fundamentally not serious fucking subject matter, but oh my god, is anything time-stamped? Where do I start? Oh, there's no timestamps. Is it going to tell me what track? Okay, it tells me what track we're on. That's good. All right, well, let's go with Megalo Frog. That seems like it's going to be the first interesting thing on is like track 3. All right, we're going to start with track 3. Okay, so I'm assuming that's 1, 2... 3 right here. Right here. All right, let's try that. I was right. That's his voice. No, that's just some nasty fuzz pedal on the bass. See, there it is. It's Toad singing. You know what? That is the most fun. That is the most fun song of this genre that I have ever heard. And I've heard quite a few. These guys are cool. I'd love to fucking see these guys live. Because I just love how they're having this much fun with how they sound. Anyway, let's get back at it. Hey Okay, chapter 6, the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, as is mentioned in Sirach, chapter 1, verse 14. He who does not fear Adonai and yet pursues the wisdom either becomes crazy or falls into the webs of Satan and Lucifer or Leviathan. Oh, look at that. Look at that. There's an unholy trinity for you right there. This is because he builds on sand without a foundation on which his house can stand. Right? Oh, you people with your Lucifer. Like, is that what he said in Hebrew? Is that coming from his perhaps his Greek education? Why is he using Lucifer? Right? If he's trying to quote Isaiah, wouldn't he have had Howl as his version? He wouldn't have been using a King James version. There aren't, I don't think any of the Hebrew texts say Lucifer at all. Only the Christian texts often follow that. Like, King James, like, is, I believe was the first guy to do that, right? To pin Lucifer into the Bible via the translation of Howl, right? Howl, because Howl's title was the Morning Star, right? So, because his title was a Luciferian title, they made him Lucifer. He is Lucifer Howl, you could say, but that's just titling him. What you're saying is that this is the dangers of an evil enlightened man who is a tyrant in charge. That's what that's what Isaiah is talking about with Lucifer. He's a guy walking around in an empire. They're not talking about an angel. They're talking about like an actual guy in like government of Babylon running the show. Like, read the fucking chapter. Read the fucking book. Anyway. The first master, Rabbi Moses, imagined he was prominent artist in the magical wisdom when, with unintelligible words and unusual statues, he made all the church bells in the town ring. Or when, with spells, he made the image of a thief appear in a glass. His greatest and most reliable piece of art, because the others often failed him, was with water, with which he had secretly prepared with long, ungodly spells. He transformed himself from an old man into a young man, but this transformation never lasted for more than 2 hours. 2 fucking hours. That's great. That's fucking great. That's all my fucking wife would ever fucking need. But anyway, dear son, all these things are but a mixture of simple jokes and devil's doing in which there is no use, just the opportunity for great suffering and dangers to the soul. That is why I cast them out of my mind when I discovered the right truths and the godly magic. All that cheats God and insults others I have removed from my heart. The second master, Jacob from Strasbourg, was only a cheat and trickster. Whenever I asked, he could show me ghosts in a mirror. Sometimes an animal, sometimes a rider, sometimes a child, sometimes a girl, and so on. These gave no answer and made no movement. It was as if they were frozen or made out of something solid. Oh, there's a notation here about Sirach or Sirach. In the last is the lost book of the Bible, supposedly lost for 1,000 years, rediscovered in 1898. Well, that's well after the Council of Nicaea. So when did they put it in? Right? They found it. Did they always have it, but they overlooked it, maybe? Or they always had it, they hid it, then the truth got out, and so they reinstalled it. One of those things is, I think, more likely true, looking at how we reverse engineer our fucking stories all the time in this country. And I think they do it in every country, because I think it's human nature. It's just that we're so sleazy and fucking dishonest with ourselves about it. Under the assumption that it doesn't matter whether the President of the United States is guilty of anything or not, he is doing all sorts of stuff that I don't know why I wanted to bring that up. I did, and then I lost it the second the words came out of my mouth, because there was a likeness to the point I was making, and now it's gone. So let's scratch that from the record, because who cares? We're not talking about politics, even though part of this is interesting to me on that level, just because, well, I mean, if I'm a mage and Trump might be a mage, it's a question of, is he a good mage or a bad mage? Right? Yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, so my point is that, like, you know, do I have to battle some more wizards dealing with all sorts of things? And he's like a big target, right? And is he a target to be defended for the sake of the country? And I say for the sake of the country, yeah, not for the sake of the government, but for the sake of the country. And so there's consistent magic trying to tear him down. And there's more magic in the guilt, in the argument for the guilt, than there is in the argument for the innocence. And it's clouding people's judgment. Finally, I saw that they were small pictures that he repeatedly and secretly stuck on the wall. His trick was to hold a curved glass in front of my face in which the picture appeared and seemed alive. At night he showed tiny pictures in devil's clothes that sprang and danced about. Later, in the company of two honest people, I confronted Jacob, and we made him admit that they were pulled by hidden threads made from horsehair or ladies' hair. With the help of his friends, the godless bohemian from Prague showed me wonderful things. In my presence, he made himself invisible for half an hour. I saw him fly 2 ells high over the ground. He went out and came in through keyholes and properly locked doors. Did he witness him physically fit through a fucking keyhole like this big? If we're talking about like an 18 whatever's keyhole or an early 20th century, you're talking about like maybe at best, maybe like that big. Anyway. He told me things that only God and no other creature in creation could have known. He was in pact with the devil. His art was to scorn God and damage others. Finally, his body was rendered into uncountable pieces and thrown into a garbage heap. His head without tongue and eyes was found in a small, unused room. Right, he probably pissed a whole bunch of people off with some horrible fucking thing he did. Fourthly, the masters in Austria. Here I found countless people like the Bohemian. They could only kill animals, cripple people, change the weather, and make hail. They could destroy marriages, weaken nature, make witches, knots in willow trees, stop the flow of mothers' breast milk, and similar things. There's a lot of this is very anti-life magic in Austria. And once again, Austria. Altogether, bad doings executed with simple words and rituals. All these people had previously given themselves to the devil, rejecting the Creator and all religious people. Right, Austria. Well, he said some other things about Austria, but I think it was Hungary where it was a similar kind of evil. All had more or less a pact for 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, after which they had a fate similar to what befell the Bohemian. From this you can see, my son, how blind is the world and into what idiocies curiosity drives people. Among the others I met in Austria was a woman in Linz, the daughter of a Christian whose mother and father had, and there's the definition of an L, which we understood a tremendous amount of when we did our reading of the tractates of the Talmud, who recently died. She offered to take me to a town that I wanted to visit. She told me that there was no danger or risk, and I agreed to go. She persuaded me to go to the house where she lived alone. I went there at 3 in the night. She gave me an ointment, which she rubbed onto the arteries of my head and feet. It felt like I was journeying to the town which I, in my heart, had wished to visit and which I had not told her about. I told her nothing about what I had seen. Awakening from a deep sleep, it seemed as if I had been far away in my head. I had a melancholic confusion or depression, but no pain. When I came to, I saw her sitting next to me. We both described what we had seen. Our experiences were very different. I was in a great wonder and surprise because I thought that I had traveled away in my body and had personally experienced everything. I thought about this for a few days. Then I asked her to travel by herself to a town that I named. I asked her to bring news from a good friend who I knew was at least 100 miles away. She promised to do this within the hour. She then thoroughly rubbed herself with ointment and lay dead for 4 hours. Finally, she breathed again, turned and moved in her sleep. She sprang up, ran happily toward me, and began to tell me about the town she had visited, the meeting she had with my friend, and what he was doing. Motherfucker, she's astral projecting. She's fucking astral projecting. Astral projection! Confirmed. I know that all this could not all be true, and that it was all quite simply a dream. The ointment was nothing other than a good and fantastic sleeping ointment that made all imaginations appear as realities. The natural masters believe in such ointments, but it is unnecessary to write about them here. Well, it's entirely possible that maybe she missed the target, right? Because if she's putting in the focal work and she's getting a coherent thing, because he didn't say it didn't make sense. He said it just didn't fit the profile, right? So anyway, she maybe perhaps remote viewed something else of his psyche that he wasn't thinking of, because she missed the target. Just kind of maybe just went where she wanted to go instead of what fit the karmic agreement. I've investigated the Greek art many times, and I've come to the conclusion that it is a devil's mixture kept going by unbelievers who wish to remain in blindness. A Greek palovior on a sunny, clear afternoon created for me a dark night with lightning and thunderstorm and rain. I sweated in fright. It snowed even though it was summer to a height of half a wade. This carried on until the old man took me by the hand and walked me 6 paces out of the snow. Then, when I turned around, everything had disappeared and the sky was sunny and clear. The palovior achieved all this with an old Greek song that he sang 4 times in a very loud voice. He wrote it out for me. He had called on neither God nor the devil. I think that good people have become so startled and confused by the devil that they do not recognize the devil's might. This confirms my opinion that nothing useful is achieved by the Greeks who say that their art does not help either themselves or their friends, even though they have books full of old Greek and Latin songs from fortune-telling, old sibyls, and also the pagan poet Virgil and other similar authors. Right, which is just he is not coming across pagans at all. Probably because he's Jewish, and pagans being cunning, understanding the Christian issue of it all, and so on and so forth. That they probably avoided him, didn't want to give him the secrets, didn't trust him, never wanted any of it to be interpreted, confused, and profaned under Jewish teachings that then would get picked up by certain Christians and then used against them. Right? It's taken a long time for Odin to decide that it was good for the people to come out for him. One art is called White and Black. Another one is like the angelic Titum. An old symbol writer, Philip of Ephesus, gave me invocations that achieved only bad things. He showed me and gave me songs to take with me. He showed me how they worked. With numbers he made things happen. All the numbers were written. They were crooked and threefold. As proof, he destroyed his apple tree in half an hour. Leaves and fruit fell and rotted. He explained a great secret in numbers that cause good and bad, friendship, riches, and marriages. He had used these often but never got them to work. Abramelin later taught me that these work out of the divine secret of the Kabbalah and hang together with it. Without this understanding, nothing can be understood. The songs and superstitious hymns, some 40 pieces I burned in Abramelin's house and scattered the ashes into the wind. I did this because these harm us and hindered us from the finding the right wisdom of God. So, a lot of this definitely has to do here with with the discovery of Kabbalah, which is part of, the game of the decoding. And we have Tara Jackson is here. How's it going, Tara Jackson? Are you a sub? Are you a visitor? Say hi in the chat. Don't know if I recognize you. I don't know if you've changed your name and you're someone that I know. The most important of the Egyptian masters, the fiddler Halimeg, was sincere when he showed me his art. He forced a spirit into a piece of timber. It moved itself 3 paces and answered clearly in my language. Easy to understand but confusing, so that you could also think that the spirit was a singing bird. Later, when Halimeg showed me how to control the spirits, I realized that his was not the way of the true magic, because the picture had to be carved at an exact astrological time. The praying, the bathing, the oiling, and the fanciful smearing all had to be done at special times. He never prayed to Adonai, he only called for the devil in cooked-up Chaldaic words. You know? So, I find it fun. Is he playing the monotheistic game by calling everything the devil? Does he not do the henotheistic thing, right? Yeah, I did change. Yeah, gods of the occult rejects. I did change my name. You had a name called Gods of the Occult Rejects? Or you're like, English! But anyway, I need English. I need cohesive. Give me the trivium. Explain it to me in a trivium manner. Anyway. I was kind of upset I slept through the Gods of the Morning Wood this morning. Oh, yeah. I wasn't there today. I had to work. I was offered a Saturday gig, and I only worked Friday this week otherwise. So I took the gig, and it was at a very good pay rate. So I'm very fortunate that the guys hooked me up. Yeah, finger's not working, right? If you're on your phone, you can always hit the little microphone and try telling your phone and then just taking a second to correct any errors. That's what I do, especially when I'm driving. So, anyway, similar were the works of other Arabs. These forced their spirits into stones, ordinary and precious, and flowers and herbs. Al-Kiki, a young Arabian priest, conjured up a flower and threw it in front of an old woman passing by. She smelled it and changed into a goose. 6 hours later, she returned to her old shape. I saw this for myself. I was shown these and many similar arts, which were given to me with goodwill. I burned all of them in Abramelin's house. I did this because all these things were against God, his holy law, and neighborly love. They changed people from being children and servants of God to being children and servants of the devil. And, look, it is fair, even if he's lying about it was the devil. Because, look, a bad man can call on Odin as much as a good man can call on Odin. Right? Because many times the bad man doesn't know he's the bad man. Sometimes I do things without thinking, and then in hindsight, it was just like, I really lied to myself about that and played dumb and innocent when really I wasn't thinking it through and I was being selfish. Right? And, you find yourself as the bad guy because we're all fucking imperfect. Right? And, but you're not forgiven. Right? You just got to pay your penance. Like Hercules has to pay his penance. Okay. I was shown these and many similar arts, which were given to me with goodwill. I burned them all. Okay, I'm sorry, I read that already. Neighborly love. Right, right. Like the point is that with this sentence, I don't use these terminologies, but I agree with this sentiment. To me, this is what makes all the difference, right? Right. Like I would not say if he is not lying about their behavior, and I don't believe that he is, then he would be correct in saying it's the devil or a devil at the very least, right? Because even if he's calling on pagan gods, it's this is about the conscious force of the anti-god principle, right? If you're just running around calling everything the devil the way you're running around calling all the other things God. From this you can see how easy it is for people to fall if not protected and led by the angel of Adonai. I also would have come into such blindness and harm if I had not come to the truly wise Abramelin. He, before I could even ask, took me to his student, fulfilled my desires, and knew and answered everything even before I opened my mouth. He told me of my father's death. He told me everything I have done and said in flowery and prophetic words, which I only later understood. He told me about my future and especially about my serious sickness in Constantinople. Right? So he's probably a very good Kabbalistic practitioner, right? For, anybody who, may perhaps only know, and especially if you're Jewish and you don't know any other truth about you and what it means to be Jewish as you are, you're going to be loyal to the Kabbalah. The numerology is going to be the numerology you understand and have faith in as well. And you're going to try and do good. And you're going to try to keep off the klipath, right? That's the deal, right? Importantly, he uncovered for me the source of the holy revelation and wisdom of the Kabbalah, which, according to the way of our forefathers, I have given to your elder brother, Joseph, as his inheritance. He also showed me the source of the true art and magic that our beloved forefathers, Noah, Abraham, Jacob, Moses, Samuel, David, Solomon, and uncountable others used so much. Later, in a clear and fatherly way, I will describe this art and magic to you. This is so that if God, the owner of my soul, should ask me for it before you reach the age of manhood and inheritance, you will have trustworthy protection and schooling from this book. Many of the arts you find described in the fourth book I have seen with my own eyes at Abramelin's and have done them for myself. I have never met anyone like Abramelin again. Although Joseph from Paris was on the same path, God did not show him complete mercy. He did not lay before Joseph all the divine laws and ceremonies because, and this is certain, a born pagan, Christian, Jew, unbeliever, or anybody can become a complete master of these things, but not a renouncing Jew who has left Adonai's law and has whored with other strange religious obligations. I kind of like that. See, that's the henotheism right there, right? This is, and look at what he just said. Look at what he just said. This is cool, right? A born pagan, Christian, Jew, unbeliever, anybody can become a complete master of these things. Right? That's why I'm saying this is God legit, the higher force, the Jinn region, Udanma, the Brahmin. It has many people know it as their term. It's not a name, it's a term. It doesn't have a name. this conscious force of the all. It doesn't have a name, but there are terms in every mythos for this. And the inner world that it knows is so complex. It is why the unbeliever is allowed, right? This leads into many of the ideas. Like, I'll at least say this to the benefit of the stories of whatchamafuckit, the Left Behind series, right? Because it's addressed immediately in the first book, in the first couple chapters, when the rapture comes, and all sorts of fucking people that were allegedly Christian were left behind, and all sorts of people that, you know, you assumed they were atheist, were taken. And it doesn't really address anything else, and kind of leaves certain assumptions about who the kinds of other bad people are, right? And so the consciousness of the world has been drained of the Christ consciousness and falls into an absolute darkness, right? It makes all sorts of fear-based selfish decisions, and fear and selfishness are the feeding troughs of the Antichrist. Anyway. Thus far, very good. Okay. Let's find another band and another song. Okay, let's try this band. Bear with me. This is a 2-year-old album.
You film your podcast?
By a group called Helga that is on Season of Mist, so this is probably going to be fucking good. And I'm just going to pick a song out of this. Vast and Wild. Let's do it.
Is racing, beating through my chest like the waves of the sea before me. I see myself in the water my heart longs for. My heart longs for.
it's still wrapping up this song. Hang on.
like these emotions. And while you're feeling
There we are. Let's see. All right, so that was on the folkish side of Seasons of Mist. They got some fucking sweet black and doom metal and stuff in there with a lot of fucking pagan flair more than satanic flair. Anyway, let's put the book back on. Drive myself nuts. I have my layout on the desktop kind of different today because of everything, so sorry. Bear with me. Let's close that down. That'll do. Chapter 7. God returned to my people. After faithful, God returned me healthy and rested to my family. I repaid my financial vows and thanked him for all the fortunate things that he had done for me, especially for what he had let me see and learn from Abramelin. The very first thing I planned to do was to start the work exactly as I later write about. Many things prevented this from happening, also partly because of your mother, Melka, even though she did much to help. Only in the third year and after we were married in Worms did the opportunity occur. The town itself was a difficulty. The people, the running around, working, and so on. I even thought of going to the Black Forest, into isolation from the specified time, but this would have been impossible without damaging and ruining my household. So I followed Abramelin's advice for such a situation and divided my household into two parts. I also rented another house in town. It was here that I put my relatives in business. I gave it over to my mother's brother so that he could carry on the household and business for so he could carry on the household and business for 2 years. He paid me a considerable yearly rental for my necessities and expenses. I, your mother, one servant, and a maid, married together, stayed in this house where we have continued to enjoy the mercy of God. And so also you and your brother will enjoy the same mercy if you follow the way of Adonai. In this correct and withdrawn way of life, I started by avoiding all unnecessary talk and company. This was not easy for me because of my melancholic mood. I did this until the time of Passah, which I celebrated with all the relatives of the household in the usual way and according to habit. On the next morning, I started with the work, creating the order that I write about below in the name of and to honor Yehovah, creator of heaven and earth and all creations. Until the 18th month, I pursued this end in between. Early in the 11th month, your mother presented me with her firstborn son, Joseph. After 18 months, while I was carrying out my final services to Adonai in my upper prayer room, right next to the summer veranda, he presented me with his holy angels. To my great joy and happiness, it is impossible to tell of this, and it is not correct to do so. Interesting. Okay. So he had an angelic experience that he kind of like leaves at that. Okay. I get it. I've had experience that some things, it's between you and the spirit, and it's a good relationship. I experienced this vision in humility and bliss for 3 continuous days. I was addressed lovingly and with friendship by my guardian angel. He explained the godly wisdom and Kabbalah and later completely explained the complete truth about this magic. He had told me about the effects of what I had received from Abramelin and showed the way I can form and do similar things. He also gave me clear advice, teachings, and knowledge about how, over the next 3 days, I could deal with the unredeemed spirits and make them listen to me. I did this and let them all appear on the veranda where I, protected by the mercy of God and his holy angels, indeed and with much help from them, forced the spirits to remain for the hour. In recognition and submission they stayed. The mercy of Adonai and the protection of his holy angels never move from me. Abraham and my 2 sons and Lamech and my whole house, so that we in our misery, sorrow, and imprisonment can find no other way to be that in the way of the law of Adonai. Amen. Chapter 8. Magical things I have done. Let me take a quick look and see how long this chapter is. Okay, we're going to read chapter 8 and then see how I feel about taking another break or so. Where are we at? Page 66. We've read about 16 pages tonight. Uno momento. We're just checking out. Okay, we're good. Sorry. So you can see how a person needs the gifts of God and how these are to be used to honor God and help one's neighbors. I shall now tell you about things I did with the help of the highest and my art. I write not to boast or to seek acclaim or out of idle pride. This would be a great sin against God because he is the one who does everything. I tell of these things so that his mercy and wisdom can be further praised and so that you also can recognize how plentiful are the treasures of Adonai. Now, I don't necessarily care, for what you're going to come to expect, right? Which is keeping like this, the religious faithfulness relationship with God, right? Like, I would rather he have a pagan relationship with Adonai and Jehovah and all that stuff, right? But this is written in a time where that is lost. And this is all they got. Here are some things after my death you will find more set out in my register. I started to practice my art in 1409, and now, with God's help, I have reached an honorable 79 years. I have helped about 40 people who were enchanted in different ways, men and women, Jews and Christians. I made them healthy and dissolved their enchantments. A Kaiser Sigismund, our most gracious lord, I helped him with a very friendly duke, a familiar spirit of the second hierarchy whom he had requested from me. He used this spirit with intelligence. I also helped Sigismund with his marriage. Okay, so you got this guy. This guy is oil painting of Sigismund, Emperor and King of Germany, Poland, and Hungary, who made Abraham a member of his court. He died in 1437. So, this is Sigismund. Seems like a handsome chap. Anyway. He wanted to have the secret of the whole operation, but Adonai cautioned me, and so he was satisfied with what he was allowed as a private person rather than as a lord. With my arts, I helped him overcome the great difficulties that were in the way of his marriage. B. Count Frederick the First, freed from the hands of Duke Leopold with the help of 1,000 magically created knights. I described this in chapter 29. He was captured and would also have lost his reign. This guy is alleging that he created 1 legion of magic knights. That's a legion of magically created, like NPCs? What the fuck? How do you make a legion of knights? Like, by magic, I mean, like, obviously people, like, in reality, we all know what happened. Like, he did a ritual a certain way. Probably a long fucking ritual that happened across a country. And this sympathetic effect is a "you will build it, they will come" manifestation. I bet you $1,000,000 it was that. Not necessarily a "you will build it," but, you know, do this ritual this way for this period of time, so on and so forth. Did he use astrology? He must have. Even though he was making criticisms about time and place and such. But, we'll see, right? You know, it's just like, look, it's God's fucking clock. Did he learn about God's clock or not? To the bishop of our town, I showed the betrayal of his official at Ladenburg half a year before it happened. I'll say no more about this because as a priest, he remains silent about the things I later did for him. Okay, that's interesting. Half a year, but I'll say this as a priest, he remains silent about the things I later did for him. Interesting. He remains silent. What about you? Who helped your cousin out of the jail in Spire? The Duke of Warwick was freed from the English jail the night before his scheduled decapitation. I helped the Duke and Pope John to flee from the Council of Constance. Otherwise, they would have fallen into the hands of the Kaiser. John could also confirm my prophecy about his question, which John XIII or Martin V was to win the papacy. See, this is interesting. Because here he is meddling with the Germans' political strong-arming of Rome, and then isn't that interesting that by the time we hit World War II, the Vatican is becoming its own city-state ahead of the rise of Mussolini. And here's a Jew fucking with Germania, right? And nobody can fucking explain to me what's wrong with the Kaiser, right? I'm not going to say one way or the other until I know more. But to see how Abramelin had an effect, this would mean, you know, like, if he didn't do this, perhaps World War I would have ended different. G. In Regensburg, it happened as I predicted because of important matters. I was staying with the Duke of Bavaria. There, the door to my room was broken open and jewelry, money, and account books to the value of 3,000 guilders were stolen. When I returned, I forced the thief, a bishop, to personally return everything and to confess to me why, for heaven's sakes, he did such a thing. Both of the popes mentioned above have often and in secret asked for my advice and opinions on future events. They never found it untrue. So, there may be some serious politics of, on the papal level that we don't fully acknowledge of Jewish influence on the popes, right? Which would explain how the Vatican abandoned general conservatism for a long while. Now it's trying to, be fine with conservatives and trying to make the LGBTQ not feel alienated and such. Understanding an idea that, we really fell out of step with God's love and inherent inclusivity as but the problem is that they can't do it right because they ought to have the right to be able to say, we just want to see you through this sin, and you can come here and we're going to be supportive of you as a person, and we're not going to spend any time reminding you of what we think is a sin that you're whatever with, and that we think it's a sin, but we're going to leave that alone because we love you and we just think you're having a hard... Like, this whole fucking thing that, that Christians ought to try and be. This idea. So anyway. If the Greek emperor... both mentioned above. Okay, so if the Greek emperor had believed the letter that I sent him half a year ago, then things would not be going so badly for him now, or as I worry, they are likely to do in the next few years. I explained to him the poor conditions of his kingdom, which is at the edge of ruin, if he does not extinguish the rage of God. As I do not have much time left in my life, I leave it to the future to confirm this prophecy. The operation in Book 4, Chapter 13, I have done twice, once in the House of Saxony and another time in Magdeburg. I was the reason that the heritage was passed on to the children. Now, once access to the holy magic has been achieved, it is permitted to demand from the angel a sum of coined money proportional to birth, status, and authority. This will be granted without difficulty. The money is taken from the secret treasures. It is important to note that God permits us to take a fifth of all treasures. Excuse me. My own special treasure was given to me in Wurzburg, where I performed the operation of Book 4, Chapter 6. It was in no way ancient or guarded. It was raw gold that I had spirits smithy and make into guilders. It took a few hours. Oh, you don't say. It sounds like you were talking to some dwarves. My own inheritance was small and worthless. I was so poor that I had to use my art to marry someone with a big dowry. I used the third and fourth sign in Book 4, Chapter 19, and married my cousin with a dowry of 40,000 gold guilders, which was enough for my happiness. Your cousin? Your third cousin? Your fifth cousin? Tell me it was your 12th cousin. Or 13th. I want to say 13th cousin is probably far enough where I'll maybe give it a pass. But really, you're okay. I don't know about that, I guess. I mean, sure. I am judging a little bit. Because as a box sagist, I would say that Udin Ma says we don't do that anymore. But anyway. All signs in chapter 18 I used so many times that I have lost count. With Book 4, Chapter 2, and 8, I have made large and wonderful experiments. The first sign in the first chapter is the best. It is necessary to be clever and consciously precise in these matters, because in doing God's things we can make larger mistakes than Salomo. I have never failed to be complete. I've never failed to complete matters. The spirits have always listened to me. Everything succeeded because I followed the will of God. Point for point, I followed the advice and suggestion of my angel. Also, I followed the teachings of Abramelin, which is exactly what is in these books. The advice that I received, even when in unclear words and hieroglyphs, have made it possible for me to achieve my goal and never to have made a mistake, or to let me fall into pagan ways or superstitious idolatry. I have always remained on the path of Adonai, who is the only true and infallible way to succeed with the holy magic. Okay, so that's chapter 9 there. So it's 12:30. Let me see here. 10:45, 11. So we're still under 2 hours. So we're going to take a break. We're going to read chapter 9. And then probably after chapter 9, unless chapter 9 is really short, we're going to call it a night. Because I think 2 hours is good. Hang on. I haven't seen the chat room in a minute. All right, not too much activity. Okie dokie. Let me pick a thing. Hopefully it'll be a heavy thing this time. No, I don't want to do that one. What is this?
We know you appreciate precision.
Hush. All right, let's get through this this advert. Okay. Let's hear this. Wait. That's interesting. Totemal, Graveyard of Joy. All right. Totemal presents Graveyards of Joy. So 9 tracks. Graveyard Mist, Season of the Mist. Okay. Let's see. Deliverance, Humanized Gods. Let's see how this sounds. This song is called Humanized Gods. Fuck, I've been muted? God damn it, I've been muted. God. Damn it, me. All right, let's read that all again for shits and giggles. Anyway, one of the things I want to repeat that I said about the song, because I was reading the chat room too for a minute before I got started, is I heard I heard Intergalactic Boo said she likes this too, and I said, yeah, I do too. I said it's kind of got that 1980s synth pop kind of vocals like in it. And I felt that the whole vibe check of the song kind of fit the book. So, chapter 9, be careful in everything you do. So I thought this was interesting because he's about to mention Belial. And you know what? I want to say something about Belial that I didn't say the first time around. So, a blasphemer never lacks the opportunity and jealousy. I'm sorry, a blasphemer never lacks the opportunity. And jealous Belial with his associates like nothing more than to suppress and reduce God's wisdom. So, Belial is, that sentence does explain accurately the nature of what Belial's function is. He's an archdemon. Like he is, when they say, oh, Satan's the father of lie, Belial may very well be what they mean by that. If not Loki. Now, Belial is also part of the unholy trinity. The three demons that the religion of government all agree to occultedly worship and form and function in their own manners of their own nations are Belial, Moloch, and I know the whole thing about Moloch, but that is what they're doing, what they're calling it. It's not just fodder for us, and it is incorrect because of some complicated history. And Mammon. And so Belial is the one that kind of like the one that makes the gnarly kind of dishonest illusion that keeps people in the spin of things. And then Moloch is more of the enforcer. It's kind of like it's when you're calling your government fascist, whether it is fascist or not in a general sense or in the political sense. But when you're getting fascist tactics, right? That's, police, ICE, all this shit. That's coming from Moloch. Their Moloch, right? So, this lets him blind people and enables him to lead people around by their noses so that they continue to live in stupidity and error and do not have the opportunity to find the path of true wisdom. So I was thinking naturally, because of his choice of words, I was thinking of the septum piercing, which the heavy metal punk rock guy in me fucking loves, right? And I'm saying that there's a soul code frequency that certain ornamentation, not jewelry, but ornamentation, is what makes sense for you. I used to have an energy frequency that was perfectly fine with earrings and a labret piercing. I lost a labret piercing a long, long time ago, and the earrings came out just a few years ago. And I haven't really felt a compulsion to wear them to get new piercings. I've never really, I don't look at my face and say, I don't think I need to make any more modifications. Right? I think I'm good. So I haven't had a pierced face in a while. So, true wisdom damages Belial's kingdom and changes him from Lord of humanity to a servant. So he needs all his arts, cleverness, work, and patience to completely root out the true wisdom. He does this so that humanity cannot sense his intentions. It's also, it would be just a hassle because the way I train and the way and the way I have to handle materials at work, the last thing I need is my face or my ears catching something and just it's a bad scene. It's better if I just don't. It's all good. I don't even need it. He brings much false and imagined magic into the world I describe in chapter 4, 5, and 6. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. True wisdom damages Belial's kingdom and changes him from Lord of humanity to a servant. Why would you want this fucking thing serving you? So he needs all his arts, cleverness, work, and patience to completely root out the true wisdom. He does this so that humanity cannot sense his intentions. He brings much false and imagined magic into the world, as I described in chapters 4, 5, and 6. So I beg you, my son, be careful in your doings and do not leave the way of the wisdom of Adonai. Do not let the devil and his associates lead you astray. He is a liar from eternity. Wowzer. Yeah. He's a part of the functions. He's one of the dark archons that's part of the infrastructure of the anti-gods. You can be sure and certain that if you follow the written law, you will not only receive everything you wish for, but that you will also receive the mercy of Adonai and experience the assistance of the holy angels, who are happy that you faithfully search for their advice and follow the will of God. The art of wisdom has its foundations in the secrets of the highest and in the holy Kabbalah, which belong to your elder brothers Joseph and not to you. And so, as with our forefathers, who always gave the firstborn the Kabbalah and gave to the youngest the wisdom, this was the reason for the argument and swap between Jacob and Esau. It was about the first birthright and came about because the Kabbalah is more valuable than the magic. Lamech, for you, the secret of wisdom cannot be achieved through the Kabbalah. Similarly, a woman's son is not led to the Kabbalah, not until today, and also not a son from outside of marriage, only legitimate children, as was case between Isaac and Ishmael. As you see below, the way of achieving wisdom can give you a true sign. Be satisfied with this book and do not investigate further than is your right. This is so that you don't anger the highest God with your disbelief or give the devil a hand to lead you from the right road to a false path that would be the start of your miseries and ruin. The old snake from the time of the discovery of this book will try to confuse and falsify it with his poison. or attempt to suppress it, or at least create gossip against it. As your trustworthy father, I suggest to you that you do not discard or disbelieve this book. Call God as your witness and trust him. Remember, even if you do not have a teacher to show you the secret of the wisdom and its preparation, after 18 months, your angel will reveal to you everything that is necessary. So the double 9-month cycle is now being noted as something that's going to apply to many things. The secret of God and wisdom of Adonai require that all the signs of Book 4 are written in the letters of the fourth main monarchy. The puzzling words containing the secrets have their beginnings in Hebrew, Latin, Greek, Chaldaic, Persian, and Arabic. Through all the world's tongues and languages flow special secrets of the wisest practical master who cares for all things and underlay this art. This is what we were doing back when we were weaving and we had come into occult pun awareness, which now all of us have kept in our understanding of things, but we don't just, but we're much more reserved in when we bring that up. Because there are higher things to really learn, and that stuff should not be dwelt upon for much more than a season. Not the wisdom but secret is open in this way. Study and consider the wise sayings of the holy prophet Daniel, and you will be greatly inspired by your guardian angel. Chapter 10. What our fathers have been given. Let me see how long this is. Let's see if this is a short one. It is. We're going to read this one because it's not even 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, it's not even 1 o'clock. This should take 7 minutes, I think. We have to deal with a large and powerful enemy. I'm sorry, Chapter 10, What Our Fathers Have Been Given. We have to deal with a large and powerful enemy in our work, whom even with all our human cleverness and power we cannot resist without the help of the holy angels and spirits. So keep God and his holy word in front of your eyes so as not to anger him. Do not insult or annoy the angels and the spirits who stand by you, or you will chase them away. On the other hand, do not in any way listen to Belial, Satan, Lucifer, and their whole snake of followers. Do not make sacrifices. Well, you know, a man's got to eat. Do not obey or in any way listen to them. They want you to be a hypocrite. To listen to them means your ruin and the destruction of your soul. With Belial, yes. With Satan, not in the context of a challenging spirit. If it's about a challenging spirit that secretly is something trying to build you, because it's Saturn, and then it's the question of how you run with the Saturnian script, right? Because there's Saturn under black magic and Saturn under white magic. And, you know, I've been trying to have a more white magic relationship with Saturn, but I'm not there yet. It's part of my nature to be certain ways. But anyway. And of course, Lucifer, he means the dark Luciferians, but he can't discriminate that yet. It hasn't been revealed to this generation. The more contextual understanding, right? I think Rudolf Steiner is the guy who gets there. And then it took a while for Steiner's work to be understood by anybody else, as the whole profane world was making him a appealing villain, not an anti-hero, but an appealing villain, which was part of the moral problems being perpetuated by the media system. Okay, to listen to them means the ruin of your and destruction of your soul. And we've seen that happen to all sorts of people taken over by shit. So this is what happened to the heirs of Noah, Lot, Ishmael, Esau, and others who lived in the promised land before our fathers. They passed on the true wisdom from generation to generation, but little by little they listened to the wily enemy, and so let demonic sorcery and godlessness creep into their magic. They did not have the Kabbalah. So God punished them, removing them like weeds and chasing them out of the fatherland. Our fathers were appointed in their place. In my opinion, the reason for our misery and imprisonment comes from our forefathers who, in their doings and dealings, ignored God's mercy and followed the lies of the devil. So Lamech, take care, don't support the devil in thoughts, words, or doings. Remember that he can catch you through your curiosity like a bird in a net. Right, so this is where I fundamentally disagree with Abramelin because this is very Gnostic thinking. All right, remember that he can catch you through your curiosity like a bird in a net. No, that's not God. That's Loki and the House of the Net. He will, in some way, touch you, cheat, threaten, or frighten you. He will discuss and promise to bring you things through other people that appear to be holy and godly, but are inwardly supported by poisons, pus, and devil's work. Take the example of the Bohemian mistrust those who magically produce angels or worlds, for they have no substance. At the beginning of the operation, a man appears of majestic appearance and with great friendliness promises wonderful things without God's permission. He can give nothing. He promises things to destroy. He damages those who trust and believe him. This is what happened to Pharaoh and his people in the book Shemoth, when they did not listen to Moses and Aaron's true wisdom. They let the devil bridle them and let him place so much wisdom in front of them that they became completely blinkered and fully constipated. This is how they were tormented and punished by God. Finally, they were drowned in the Red Sea. I'm very confused. This is what happened to Pharaoh and his people in the book of Shemoth. When they did not listen to Moses and Aaron's true wisdom, they let the devil bridle them and let him place so much wisdom in front of them that they became completely blinkered and fully constipated. It's interesting. So, and he let the wisdom in front of them, he let him place so much wisdom. He gave them the wisdom right in front of them. They became blinkered and fully constipated. That's so interesting. I don't know exactly what he means by blinkered, other than maybe it means they like literally like you blink your eyes, like what? No way. Right? Like that, because you can't believe your eyes. So, hold to your God and his holy angels. Listen and be obedient to them. Then the devil, his associates, and unredeemed spirits will listen, follow, and be obedient to you. He must follow and be obedient to you, not you to him. Right? So your guardian angel is the various aspects of the of your your psychosomatic northern soul complex. I've brought that up several times. 1 a.m. on the nose. We will get to chapter 11 in the future, maybe tomorrow. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am tired. I am going to just bow out. And I'll see you later.